What's going on, YouTube and Welcome to Lords of the Long Box, the collector series, your limited edition run of YouTube shows and stuff. And we're going to talk about variants and some other goodies. So hang tight, boys and girls. And I know y'all have been waiting, but you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, man. Get some intro.
Bust it. Shake and bake and pull it back.
Oh my God.
Hold on and get some, boys.
That is why they compete.
But hey, man, so just you guys were just waiting. You guys had to wait a little bit longer. So Otto had technical issues, and I literally had work calling me 10 minutes before the show aired. Freaking computers. Anyway, welcome to Lords of the Long Box, the collector series. This is our second episode where we'd like to talk about comic book collecting, the hobby, and some would give you advice. Or if you have any questions, we're going to talk about specifically this week about variant specking and also modern slabbing, what the do's and don'ts are. I got my man Nemesis Prime. Say what's up.
What's going on, everybody? Con season is officially over here on the East Coast. I am just spent socially and just spent. Otto, what do we got? Otto died.
Jesus Christ. All right, Otto, bye.
Bye.
I don't know what he's doing. Just come back in, Otto, or here. Let me try that. I don't know. Anyway, the show, Otto, if you see this, click back into it. Jesus.
That's what happens.
So I thought Otto was just like has that kind of look that he has every now and then. So I just like left it alone. But anyway, hey, this show is brought to you. Speaking of variants, this show is brought to you by KRSComics.com. Go to KRS Comics, use the discount code of LOTLB to get 10% off any KRS Comics exclusives. They always have some dope variants. The show is also brought to you by thegeekyswagshop.com. Go to thegeekyswagshop.com and you can get these dope ass shirts right here for $20 ship if you use the discount code of LOTLB. And actually, that discount code works for anything in the Geeky Swag Shop. Did I forgot to show you what I just got, and I know the Geeky Swag Shop is selling it, and I know this is kind of off topic, but I got the Bruce Lee diorama.
Ooh, you were talking about that months ago.
Yeah, man, this is the Be Water statue, so I'm stoked to get that. I got that from my LCS today, Comic Tunes and Toys in Tustin. And Otto will join us whenever he gets back. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. Dark Side Jedi, if you see any good questions, go ahead and pose them. Guys, there's a lot of people in the live chat. So if you absolutely want your question answered, please leave a super chat. It could be 99 cents just so we can see it because the live chat goes through pretty soon. And so last week we kind of talked about, what did we talk about last week anyway? When is the good time to buy and sell books that are spec based, right? And nowadays movies and shows typically dictate that kind of news, right? That news cycle. So this week, we're going to talk about something different, man. We're going to talk about variants. And I know Justin is very key to the variant game. He's getting variant. I get variants every now and then, but I think Justin gets them every Wednesday. So let's talk about variants. I mean, variants have been around, and I'm going to put a trivia question up in the live chat. Darkside Jedi, tell me who answers it first and answers it correctly. And hopefully you know the answer, or I will give away the first appearance of Stained Glass Scarlet. And the question will be later on in the show once we get more people in here. But you know what? Variants have been around since easily the early 90s, maybe the late 80s. The biggest probably variant that everybody remembers is X-Men 1, the Jim Lee covers, right? There were so many damn variants. But nowadays, it's just part of collecting. I mean, if you poo-poo on them or not, it's just, it's just part of the collecting world. Oh, here we go. Hey, Otto, welcome back.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What do we got going on tonight?
Holy jeez, he comes in all loud and shit. Oh my God! Here, go ahead, say hello to everybody, Otto.
What's up, everybody? Good to see everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. We're gonna fix that this weekend, I promise. Thank you.
Otto was on a 10 megabit connection.
Oh,
when we
awful,
tested that.
awful.
Are you
Dial-up.
hardwired now? Are you hardwired now?
Yeah, ready to go.
Thank God. Thank God. Thank God for that. So let's talk about variants, man. Like, first of all, let's say, like, what variants do you like, Justin? Like, when you go and look for new variants, what are you looking for? Like, what would typically, are you looking to flip? I mean, there's probably two types, right? There's personal sentimental favorites we get. Hey, I like this cover. And then there's ones that we got, you know what? I'm going to try to get in early on this and I can flip it. So when you look to flip a variant, what are you looking for?
I typically look for the spec of a short printer run. So we can, if you want to really, we'll go right into the Captain Marvel. We can talk right about that. So guys, right here, Captain Marvel number 8. Actually, Tim, show the other one first.
Oh, the announcement from
the announcement.
You know, hold on, man. I got to put that in there. I suck.
That's all right.
And I actually, no, you know what? Here, talk about talk about something else. I actually have it on my laptop.
So listen,
let's talk about that.
Let's talk about a variant today that was one per store that we're already selling because of the damaged books, right? The recalled books.
Otto, are you still on your slow connection? Are we talking about Alex Ross?
There was something that was going on in the stores. Birdie 1869 was talking to one of my.
Do you have specifics?
I don't, but it was some books were damaged, and then if you destroyed those books, Diamond sent you a variant.
No, the variant today was Immortal Hulk 25. And
yes, that's the Alex Ross.
For every regular cover, there was a Virgin variant that was 1 in 500. When I asked my LCS, he laughed at me because he would have had to order 300 of something else. You figure 1 in 500 is the Alex Ross Virgin variant. When I looked on eBay, those are going for about $600 or $700. I don't know if anybody actually bought one, but those are the ones. If you can get them early and a 1 in 500, then that's your key right there. Yeah,
there was definitely a lot for this Immortal Hulk 25. But just to go back on as far as a history of variant covers, like you said, the most well-known one is X-Men number 1 in the 90s, and it's really interesting. If you guys go back to when I first started on 3 Men in a Basement, I did actually a history of variant covers. I did a 2-part video. It was about 15 minutes long, each of them. And the first actual incentive cover was Prophet number 4 from Image. So that was the first retailer where they actually had to order a specific amount of comics to actually get that variant. Before that, it was just A's and B's, like X-Men 1 is an A and B. The anything that came out from like Gen 13, you had the Batman, you had all those foil covers and the die cut covers. So
don't talk about the first one because
I'm not going to talk about the first one. But the first.
Let's actually talk about. Hold on. What was dropped on us on Auto Show?
Yeah,
the first chromium cover ever. You got that with you, Auto?
That's right.
Auto,
yep, I got the raw copy right here.
And that was a really good book. So talk about, we had on the 3 Men in the Basement, we had Kevin Van Hook, the co-creator of Bloodshot. He was on the show, did a trailer reaction. We got to talk about the movie that's coming out.
So guys, Bloodshot number 1, for those who collect linearly, is the first ever chromium cover. And so basically Kevin Van Hook went to the printers to oversee the chromium cover for Bloodshot number 1. And they had an exclusive, I think he said, for 6 months, that nobody else could make one. So that Bloodshot chromium is the first one ever. Marvel, DC, everybody else had to wait at least 6 months for that to come across. I think that's pretty interesting. As far as if you're a collector, you see it right there on auto screen. That's the first ever. So if you are looking for, and you like this kind of linear collecting, this is the one to get, man. This is, if you think about it, it's kind of hard to, if you just Google something, how many people are in here? The first person to name what the first ever variant that has a different cover, put it in the live chat right now, and you'll win the first appearance of Stained Glass Scarlet. And that's from our man, Milton the Manimal. And I will mail that to you. Whoever's the first one that names the first ever variant that came out that had a different cover. Prior to that, they were just variants with different colors, but we're talking a totally different cover. Boom, Al Picknell. You got it.
Yeah.
Man of Steel number 1. Congratulations, man. Hit me up on the social medias afterward, and I will mail that first edition, first stained Scarlet Spider to you. I can never say that word. But hold on, Justin. I'm going to download that picture right now for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I got it. And so go ahead and just kind of lead up to what this is. I mean, so we can talk about, how to find out about this. And, and this is a good way. This is basically using social media in advance to find out what may be hot.
Mm-hmm. So back in June, Mark Brooks tweeted that he was creating a new character that was going to be dropping in Captain Marvel number 10. So of course, if you're looking to spec on that, Captain Marvel 10 is the book.
Graphic right here.
Captain Marvel 10 is the book to get. So
there you go. So way back in June 21st, Mark Brooks tweeted out, the cover for Captain Marvel 10 introduces a new character named Star, and Carol doesn't seem too happy about it. Also, it would be in Stuttgart, Germany, but it's too late now. But this is way back on June 21st. So you knew that Star was coming. And if you've been paying attention, reading the tea leaves, which a lot of times I say is you kind of have to gauge how the market is reacting. Remember, Star, like Captain Marvel 8 got hot too, because that's like another Star cameo. There's one of those cameo first appearances that are so kind of crazy about nowadays. It's getting to the point of what I like to call side collecting, right? What's the first appearance? What's the cameo? What's the first cover appearance? Right. I mean, it just kind of gets crazy. So now we can talk about this other one, and this leads right to it, right? Go ahead, Justin.
So these came out, the Captain Marvel 8 came out in July.
I have all
July
three of
21st.
those.
Yeah. So if you think about it, if Captain Marvel 10 was going to be the first appearance of her, but then all of a sudden Captain Marvel 8 and Captain Marvel 10 didn't have any solicitation as far as ratio variants. It had a regular cover, the one that was shown to Mark Brooks, and then it had a cover B. But for some reason, Captain Marvel number 8 was solicited with the A cover, which is on the left, the B cover in the middle, the Carnage, the Carnage, and the third one was a 1 in 25 variant, which is very odd because for issues 4, 5, 6, and 7 didn't have a ratio variant. So something had to be coming. Marvel wanted retailers to buy this.
So the one all the way on the right, that's like a 1 in 25, right?
Yeah.
Or 1 in 50.
1 in 25.
Yeah,
well,
that's the hot one right now. I paid a little bit extra for that one, but I went buck wild on Carnageized. I got like 4 or 5 of those because they were relatively cheap. But
yeah,
so
they were just A and B, so that they were easy to get. But that 1 in 25, if you bought that prior to when they announced it, you could actually get this probably for about $20. And I mean, flipping it day of was about 60 to 80. The book's still good, sells for at least around 100 on a raw copy. I've seen graded ones, 9.6s, 9.8s go for anywhere between 150 up to about 300 for a 9.8.
Wow.
So
so here's the interesting thing, man. If we go back to this, and this is kind of wild right now because Jonathan Hickman is just saying things in comics and people are just losing their fucking minds.
Oh, they're losing their minds right now.
This is proof to you right here. We don't give a shit what the creator says. We do not care. It's what the market dictates. And guess what? The market has dictated these, not Captain Marvel 10, but these are the books to get, right? I mean, it's just, I don't care if Hickman tells you the Hulk 180 is the Hulk's first appearance. Technically, it is. He appears in one panel on the last page. But what we're going to coin now is hashtag the collector's choice is Hulk 181. That's the money book. It's always been the money book, regardless of what Mark Brooks or, put it this way. Jonathan Hickman says a lot of stuff. His books are very wordy. So, and what was the new one he just said? He said, did he say slapstick?
I think so. Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah,
I think he put that in there.
That went crazy.
If Mark Brooks says slapstick, there's probably a reason for him to say it. Would you mess with new variants at all, Audio, or you get old variants?
I do. There's certain variants that I go after. I did buy I bought all the new House of X and Powers of X. I did buy those. I actually even bought the 3rd and 4th print covers of those books just because I thought they were really cool. A little bit of a completist. There are certain variants I go after. The Adam Hughes Catwoman, or that was just not a variant, but the Adam Hughes 800 Thor with Helena cover. I love that book. The Mark Brooks other one, but also the Batman books I go after, some of the variants on that, because I think those are really cool. So when it comes to variant, got to be something for my personal preference, not necessarily grabbing it to flip it on a quick flip. I'm a bit lazy when it comes to that.
Yeah, the key about variants is you almost have to sell them the same day.
And let's you got to get it, flip it.
Let's all be honest now. DC variants, IDW variants, Image variants, they don't sell simply because DC doesn't do many racial variants. When they do, it does pop, but typically they cover A and B, right? I mean, everybody loves the Argent variants, but man, they are a dime a dozen. They are cover B or sometimes cover A. So you have to, nowadays, thank God, Marvel says variant right on the cover. Man, during the 90s up to like the early 2000s, they had variants. They didn't say variant on the cover, man. You literally had to check. I mean, that's what's good to have. Like, I used to use comicbookpriceguide.com, not for the prices, just for the covers to find out. Nowadays, we're spoiled because we have Wiki and all these other things, but I mean, it's a great way. And here's the thing, man. Variants are great. It's a part of the community, and it gives people a gambling high on Wednesday to go out and snatch that variant. I make those little, memes, when you get that 1 in 50 variant, but if you are in this for the flipping, I know because there's variants that I have that I haven't flipped that I love. I have my Alex Ross 1 in 100 Doctor Strange. I just picked up another 1 in 50. And, those will hold their value right around $25-30, maybe higher. There's some rare exceptions. The Venom Possessed Deadpool variant by Scotty Young, right? That one. The Greg Land variant for Edge of Spider-Verse #2. That one is freaking super expensive, man. So there are exceptions to the norm, but typically a variant will get hot if it's tied to a #1 or first appearance. If it's just a random variant, it's very, very rare that book will pop and continue to pop. Like that Greg Land variant, it's the first appearance of Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider, whatever her name is now. So, I mean, what other ones do you remember, Justin, of recent memory that have held its value or even continue to grow over the last, 5-10 years?
As far as first appearances, I mean, you have the biggest one is Captain Marvel 14, the 1 in 30 variant, which is done by Amanda Connor, which is the first cameo appearance of Kamala Khan.
Did we see that in Baltimore, Justin?
Yes, we did. That's why I brought that up.
Yeah.
So somebody had at their booth a 9.8. They wanted $5,000.
$5,000.
That's right.
Wasn't getting
$5,000 for that Kamala Khan, and that is a tough book to get because you're basically, again, you're 14 issues in. It's a 1 in 30 ratio. Captain Marvel at the time is not a hot character, so who's ordering 30 copies of that book to actually get to that 30 ratio? And they didn't even know. They didn't know that it was going to be Kamala Khan's first appearance. So.
Yeah, if you haven't, I know I posted it in the Lord's Spec group, the Lord's Comic Specs group. If you want, go check that out. I posted the interview I did with the Big To Do from like 3 years ago, and he gave a real in-depth breakdown of the ordering mechanism to get variants. Right, you have to order. Sometimes it's 120% of a particular cover to get a 1 in 100, but typically the ratios when we say is like, let's say it's a 1 in 10. That means they have to order 10 of a book to get that one variant cover. Now, I won't get any more in depth than that because sometimes Marvel will make it to where you have to order 100% of a totally different title to even get that. That's the way they kind of get their orders to grow, like it or not like it. My story is pretty good at it because they have a huge customer base and they have tons of variants and people that actually gobble these things up so they can order them. Some smaller stores may not because they don't have that. But I mean, if your LCS poo-poos variants, I would say go to another store. I mean, it's part of the thing. It's nice to just know it's there. If you're that guy that shows up early and you want to look at the shelf and then maybe they just leave it out there. But I would say more times than not, have a good relationship with your LCS owner and call him. Hey, man, do you got this? Can you hold it for me? That's the best way, right? I mean, you got to have – if your LCS owner doesn't know you by name, you're not doing it the right way, right?
Yeah. There's actually two books about that Hulk book, The Immortal Hulk, that Johnny Dakota just brought up. The Hulk 2, 1 in 25. Oh, did I just get lost again?
Yes, you did.
All right. That was a pretty pricey book, the 1 in 25.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, the Immortal Hulk.
I was just talking about
to Dr. Frey.
Are you talking to somebody in the live chat or I don't understand?
No, well, Johnny Dakota brought up the Hulk #2, the 1 in 25.
I understand, but we don't know that because you didn't ask.
No, I must have glitched out.
No, well, we don't know what Johnny Dakota said because you didn't say it's from the live chat. So just see. You're killing us, Otto. Jesus Christ. The Immortal Hulk 2 variant, 1 in 25 is a pricey book. Yeah, that one, for now, it'll die in a year. I guarantee it. It'll die.
I mean, I don't think the villains usually don't stay long. I mean, another one of recent history is.
Shout out to Adi Russell for the $4.99 super chat. He says, good show, guys. Thank you, Adi Russell. Appreciate that. So, what else could we talk about variants? Let's talk about the timing. If you are a flipper and you want to flip, I would say you got to put it this way. if there's a variant that you know you're going to get or you have a hold of, go on eBay and see how many people are pre-selling them. I guarantee you there's pre-sales on them.
Yeah.
Right. And you can see how much they're selling for, or if people are just having on buy it nows and they're not moving at all. But typically you can kind of gauge how well they'll do. Some shrewd LCSs will actually look and see how much that variant is pricing for on eBay, and they'll price their book on that amount, which sometimes isn't fair because, you know, they're asking for it. Doesn't mean they're necessarily going to get it. Right. But my LCS is pretty typically a 1 in 50 I can get for like $30-35, which I think is a steal.
That's a steal.
Yeah, that's definitely good.
Yeah.
I mean, because then you also have to take into consideration now a lot of times that there's not only retailer variants, but then there's in-store exclusive variants. So someone like KRS Comics.
Oh yeah,
like
let's talk about
Comics.
that. I mean, let's talk about the influx, and we'll start with KRS Comics first.
Yeah.
Go ahead and start with that. I may have a leaked photo here to show people.
So I mean, you can look at something like the Web of Black Widow, which was their most recent variant done by Ashley Witter.
Mhm.
So there is obviously a trade dress and also a virgin variant for those two. So
I would say of late,
Mhm.
the store variants are taking over. Well, because the ratio variants for stores, that if they're 1 in 50, those are hot, 1 in 100. But now what you have is you have online comic stores. We're talking about KRScomics.com, unknowncomics.com, frankiescomics.com, scorpioncomics.com,
Yep.
IT Comic Store. Those are like the 4 or 5
7,
big
8,
ones that
9.
I fuck with. You know what I mean? The rest of them, I don't really, I had a bad experience with one that I won't even say their name is, they're constantly like late in ordering. And that's another thing. When you pre-order these with that first order cutoff date from any one of these online vendors besides KRS Comics, go to KRScomics.com, use discount code of LOTLB to get 10% off any KRS Comics exclusive variants. If you are planning to flip these, I know, Justin, you've had this happen to you before. The freaking book comes 6 weeks later, and by that time, it's a dead spec. It's totally cold. It's frozen.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's tough. I mean, if you don't pre-sell it, you don't get it, and then you try to flip it, you may be waiting. I mean, I've waited for books for quite a long time that I ended up just keeping in the PC. Keep in the personal collection. There's no point to sell it. If it gets hot again, I'll see what I can do.
Show off one that I got that I killed on. Well, hold on.
I think I don't know if I have one. No, I don't have one.
Well, no, I was going to show the Agents of Atlas variant, the Miko CD one.
Yep. That
one is still hot. That one has been out for a while now, and that one is hot. It's specifically the Miko C1 one because there's a lot of new Agents of Shield variants. This is from War of the Realms, Agents of Atlas. This particular one is hot because, as our buddy Mike says, Cape for Wave. Wave is a brand new Filipino superhero, the first ever Filipino superhero. That one got hot because it was, I want to say it was Unknown Comics was the exclusive variant, but Miko C1 is big in the Philippines. All of the Philippines is behind this book. I mean, I just saw raw copies over $100 on a variant. That's amazing to me. The virgin variants are even more. Unfortunately, I didn't get the virgin. I just got the regular one, but it's still, you know what? Let me find it here.
It is a first appearance, so that's what
here's why it's a great book. It's a ton of first appearances, actually. It's what's the Luna book that came out?
No.
Luna Snow. Her first appearance as well is also in New Agents of Atlas from War of the Realms. Swordmaster's first appearance is also in there. So there's some other, and here's the one I just recently got that I'm specking on, which is from Unknown Comics as well. This is Arrow, and this is the first appearance of Sea Hunter. So this is the second new Filipino artist. That Wave is such big a character in the Philippines that regular news outlet sources like Yahoo, Cosmopolitan, Time in the Philippines are running it because it's such a big thing. Because if you know the history of comics, you know that the Philippines has always been a major player in specifically artists, right? Not Ron Lim, but if you think of Wills Portacio, Miko C1, what's that other guy? I forgot, but there's a ton of them, right? And if you think about all the Asian artists in general, Art Germ, Ron Lim, Jim Lee, all these guys, a lot of you took some pictures. Who's that Korean guy that you took a picture of?
Which show?
In Baltimore.
In Baltimore.
Ji Hung Lee.
Ji Hung Lee, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So I think we didn't talk about this is the combination of artist and character, right? I would say like our friends at Karis Comics who really blew up with Venom. That would have been Tyler Kirkham.
Right.
Tyler Kirkham blew up with coming out with Venom, and then he went from there. And Karis Comics is the first one to really use. Hey, shout out to Pops Foster for the $20 super chat. Really appreciate it, Pops, man. Pops is running the Lord's Comics Spec group over on Facebook. We don't allow a ton of people on there. We're going to cap it off right around 300, and that's where we like to talk about, comic book collecting. We don't, the Lords of Long Box is my regular Facebook page where I'll drop comic book news and things like that. And over at Geekosity is Mikey Sutton stuff. But, we've been doing so much scoops and specs lately about news. It's nice just to talk about comics, for a change. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But I got something for next Wednesday, though. We'll just keep it at that. I'm not going to talk about anything. Let's talk about comics.
Foreshadowing there for next week.
We're foreshadowing. So shout out to Pops Foster for that. So let's talk about the next thing. And I know this is a pet peeve of ours. We constantly talk about this on our live show when we're doing long-term specs and we pull up GPA. And if you guys don't forget, GPA is a website that gives you the graded price average of slab comics. When I say slab comics, I mean CGC. We don't mess with CBCS or PGX here. Sorry. The second and third best, we don't mess with that. Slabbing modern books. Okay. This is a pet peeve of mine. Why somebody would spend $20 to $25 on a book to get it graded when you can probably buy it in a 9A for $35.
Right.
Especially with variants. Here's the thing. Most people think there's money in grading keys. No. CGC's bread and butter. Their bread is buttered on modern submissions. Look at Justin. How many modern submissions did you just do? We're talking books from the last year or newer, right?
Oh, I mean, Baltimore, I just did 22 modern on site. So
yeah. So that's where even I remember CGC in some interviews, they even said so that, most of their business is that there's not many people sending in Hulk 181s or Amazing Fantasy 15s to get graded. They cost more, but it's the people that are going for the 9.8s. That's where they get their money for. What was the CGC pre-screen before? It used to be 50 books, right?
I always thought it was 25.
Yeah. So back when I've been grading books since 2001. That's how long I've been doing it. And I remember my man Storm Shadow on IG about 5-6 years ago was saying, I'm going to send in a pre-screen. And it was 50 book minimum that you had to send for a pre-screen. They may have changed that to 25, but it used to be. So basically, this is what it is. You pay a nominal amount per book and you can send in the CGC. You can send in, let's just put a round number of 50. Yeah. They will pre-screen each of them. They'll tell you these will be 9.8s and they'll send you back the rest. And then you can pay for it. But you have to pay that minimum fee. That is where you see ton of 9.8s. If you're thinking about grading a brand new comic that just came out or even a year old, do yourself a favor, go on eBay and search for 9.8s and see what they're selling for. And then go to comicsmv.com or go to GPA analysis and see how much they're actually worth, because the two things may be vastly different. And then you have a 9.8, you have a raw comic. Make the decision then at what point is it worth it. Just know how much it's for a yellow label at a show is easily $40-50, right? I mean, if you go to
I would also consider how many of the books are in the census, when you look to see how many books are already graded.
So the census is interesting because on some books it doesn't matter at all, and I'm going to tell you why. There's Hulk 181s are littered. So if you don't know, if you don't have a CDC account, you should get one. Here's another trick from TiVo. If you plan on going to a show where CDC is and you want to get some books graded, sign up for a CDC account. It's like $150 a year, right? Guess what? You get $150 credit immediately when you sign up toward grading of books. Yep. So just sign up for that 1 year. It doesn't auto renewal. So you do go to a show, you got $150 credit to use toward grading 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books, depending if you get, because typically on a yellow label, meaning if you get CDC to follow you and they witnessed a book getting signed, then they charge more for it. If you use a facilitator, it costs a little bit more too, because I always recommend using a facilitator because it frees up your time to roam the. And I know Justin, I think you guys are a little bit different. What do you guys like to do when you guys just came from Baltimore? So I mean, tell us, what was your routine to getting books signed or graded or what have you?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. My routine, even at New York Comic Con, is getting signatures. So at New York Comic Con, well, even Baltimore, we'll look at Baltimore. I had, and I showed it off the last live show, I had that 9.6 Ghost Spider-Gwen #1 Ji Hong Lee, which was a 1 in 100, I believe, graded at a 9.6. I had CGC crack it. I had CGC take me over to Ji Hong Lee. I gave him the book, dropped it off. He actually even did a remark. I paid a little money and got a little remark on it, and he signed it. And then literally directly across from him was Adam Hughes. So I waited in Adam Hughes's line. I got everything from Captain Marvel variant that he did a couple of years ago, the Avengers No Road Home variant that he did. I pretty much walk around and get variants signed because I'm not a big first appearance signature guy. That's just not me. I mean, some people love to get everybody on I did get Marv Wolfman on my 2 Nova ones, but I mostly get variants signed because I think they're a little harder.
My views on getting books signed have changed. If I have a raw copy, then definitely I'll get like Marv Wolfman, George Perez, any of those guys to sign it. What I won't do is I won't crack a high grade book and just to have a creator sign it because it's not worth it. The only person that was worth it before was Stan Lee. And unfortunately, Stan Lee's no longer with us because Stan Lee can bump a book up 20-30%. There's nobody really now in the market that does that. Maybe Todd McFarlane, because Todd McFarlane charges a lot for his signature. And here's why Todd McFarlane's a genius. You can get Rob Liefeld's signature everywhere and anywhere, and he goes to every show. Todd McFarlane goes to tons of shows, but guess what? You cannot get his signature verified. Now, before you go in the comments and get all crazy, you can get his signature on anything you want. If you want CDC to witness the signature from Todd McFarlane, you have to wait. He does an annual signing. It's been a while now, actually. It's been over a year that he's got one coming up, I would imagine, and he does these from his home. He invites certain facilitators and CDC to come out to his home, and he signs all the books there. My boy Rocket Comics heads out there once a year, so typically that's the only one I'll hold out for. Todd McFarlane. If you get like Amazing Spider-Man 300, get that signed by Todd McFarlane, it'll up the value. But anything else, I cracked the 9.6, it came back a 9.4, so I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. But if it's raw, I would do it.
And that's also the chance you're taking. At Baltimore, I got more signatures on certain other things, but at Terrificon, that's when I went after having certain books signed. Like my Captain Britain #1, I had Steranko sign it, and then I also had Chris Claremont sign it. But Chris Claremont stuff for CGC was private signing, so you were paying a little bit more to give it to CGC, and then to have it graded. So there's also a dollar value involved in that.
So how long was the wait for CGC at Baltimore? Because you guys were there at opening, right?
Yeah.
Are you talking about just on-site drop-off or just CGC witnessing?
Both.
I would. Well, let's talk about Justin. Let's talk about New York versus Baltimore. At Baltimore, I thought it was pretty good. You know what I mean? Because I was in there early and I was able to get my stuff done. But even at New York, when Justin brought up New York, even Brittany was like, "We know it was not the best," and that's
a shit show. I mean, it's I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. New York wasn't the absolute. This was the worst New York Comic Con that I've ever been to, and I've been going for about 10 years. Every year.
CGC or in general?
For CGC. Oh well, CGC definitely.
There's certain shows where they're undermanned.
I think they're undermanned every year at New York, and I don't understand why. But compared in Baltimore to New York Comic Con, the CGC waiting for a witness was maybe 10 minutes for a witness in Baltimore. New York was close to an hour, maybe even 2 hours. It was just insane.
Yeah. So I mean, this is when use a facilitator. Use a facilitator if you can. I mean, like Rocket Comics, New York Comics. I mean, there's a ton of them, right? I mean, our boy Erod. I think Manny is. I don't know if he still does it, but Manny NYC. He's a facilitator for CBCS. So I mean, if you want to enjoy your con experience, some people like to stand in line because they want to talk to me. I've been doing this a long time. I don't need to talk to George Perez and Marv Wolfman. I did talk to
I do
Sergio Aragonis. That was cool, man. Bob Layton chatted me up, but sometimes if there's nobody in line, I'm like, let me slide right up in there. Hey, how you doing, man? There's some cats that I know, that I'll talk to regardless. like Dustin Wynn, and also there's certain oh shit. I just got some leaked photos from Star Wars that I just saw. I won't share it unless, hey, does everyone want to see it?
I hear a lot.
No. All right. Use a facilitator and then you free up your time. I mean, on another episode of the Collector Series, we'll do an exclusive show just on how to navigate a convention. It can be daunting and overwhelming for somebody who's new to collecting when you go to a show. I would say you should have a map of what you want to do and planned out, and your time will be more well spent as opposed to just one. Like if you go to San Diego Comic-Con and just wander around, the show end up closing, and then you're like, I didn't get shit done. I'm getting beat up by people with Funkos and those giant backpacks that they wear. But let's get back to grading, man.
Hold on, before we go though, CGC does have the new part where Justin had to like pull me away from because I like hanging around. Just as like, dude, you got your name in, get it done. So you go up to the kiosk, you put your name in, you put your cell phone in, and they'll call you when it's your time. And that is, for getting your books to go up and get graded for the witness. For
Wait,
the witness,
you had to get
your
name called just to get graded, or get it to get a witness?
No, so not for a witness, but to actually, if you want to do anything, if you want to drop off books, if you want to do the on-site grading signature series,
any type of submission,
now what they do is you actually put your name in a kiosk, you put your phone number, your name, and you walk away, and they will text you when you're ready to come back. So then you come back instead of waiting around, because everybody used to hover around the CGC booth. I'm next, just waiting for something to happen. And they would just take you just kind of jump in between people, pushing and shoving, possibly help dropping your own books. But now it's a completely different thing. I don't know if they started it at San Diego, but the first time I saw it this year was at
I didn't see it at WonderCon last year. I mean,
it just started this year.
You should be registered anyway, so you don't have to do paperwork. Anybody who's filling out paperwork, you're a moron. You should you should be registered, because all they do is they look up your name and it's attached. So I mean, what kills me when I have to stand in line behind that guy filling out paperwork for all 50 of his books. I'm like, dude,
it's the worst. I had to wait.
We've been waiting 3 months for this show. So basically, if you're in the system and registered, then all you have to do is say, "Here's my CGC number." Boom, they print it out and it's attached to you. Why are we still filling out paper? It's 2019. But we'll do a whole show about kind of navigating a convention and some of the larger ones. Like there's a little show in Yorba Linda it's the Yorba Linda Comic-Con. It's called CowCon, actually. It's got some of the biggest keys you will ever see there, and it's about the size of a 7-Eleven is basically what it is. It's a little bit bigger now. But CGC actually shows up there to get to witness signatures or to submit books, because there's so many big keys at this show. My man King of the Golden State has been there. Me, Big To Do, Bobby, Swolverine. It's a SoCal. Everybody in SoCal knows it's been around for about 10, 20 years. And giant, you walk around, you'll see at least, 10 or 15 Amazing Fantasy 15s easily. They're very high priced, but a lot of this is dealer to dealer shows. Also, what is that? Longboxed or whomever on Instagram. There is an actual show before that show on a Saturday at a bar where a lot of collectors go and trade back and forth. It's kind of neat, man.
So it's a comic swap.
It's a
3 minute in a basement.
It's huge though. They rent out, and it's like all the collectors that are gonna go to Yorba Linda Comic-Con, all the dealers, they show up there. So it's like trading the big books before the big show. So that's easy. But let's get back to grading, because I don't think we really talked about grading modern books. If you're gonna grade a modern book, it should be perfect.
Perfect.
It should be perfect, because we are talking modern, like the last 2-3 years, maybe I would say even in the 2000s. If it's not perfect, don't grade it, because you're going to get the kiss of death of a 9.6 as opposed to a 9.8, especially on if it's not a major key. If you see any color break in it, don't submit it. Just love it as a raw book.
Right. I would almost, if there's a book, like let's say there's a Matina cover that you really like and you're a fan of, because I'm a fan of Matina and his work. Sometimes I would find myself buying 2 or 3 copies of that, and then, analyzing it and maybe taking the 2 best and then sending them in. And then, you're going to get, hopefully you get 198, and then the other one, you get 2 9.8s, you're flush. But if you get 196, at least you try to flip it or get your money back for the printing. So,
you get 2 9.6s. But what I'm saying is, hey man, it costs like, if you we'll round it off. One book graded, shipped back to you is $25. Let's just say that, right? Easily $25, right? Depending. Now, be smart about submitting your books too. if you're gonna do submitting everything at once, pick everything the same era, right? If it's either got to be before 1975 or after 1975, because you guess what? There's different shipping rates on it.
Oh my
You
God.
get 2 different invoices for that. So what I typically do is I'll save up and I got enough modern books. I'm going to send them. So, or typically what I have slabbed, most of mine are copper and older. So even then I have this, most of my stuff in my collection right now is Bronze Age, Silver Age, and Copper Age. I don't really have many modern slabs. And if I do, I buy them at a 9.8, man. I mean, there's a lot of times, I mean, unless it's a super hot variant, I mean, and I can't think of one right off the top of my head, but if you go, let's just use that new Agents of Atlas #1, the War of the Realms. Go look on that Miko Siyu in a 9.8 signed. It's pretty damn pricey. Raw virgin variants are about $250 right now, and that book is still going up. It's amazing. Well, I got to figure. Well, New Agents of Atlas only in issue #4, so I mean, really, they should been around for like what, 4 or 5 months. I mean, that's been my book to spec on. Anything that's coming out of New Agents of Atlas, well, not so much Swordmaster, but Arrow, Luna Snow, all these characters. I mean, with the Shang-Chi movie coming and all that, all the Asian characters that are they're building up. But just like Justin said earlier, man, you have to read the tea leaves. And Twitter is a great resource, right? Donnie Cates, Mark Brooks, Donnie Cates is really good at this. He is constantly tweeting out stuff about he is such a good promoter, because you know why? He's one of these younger cats that understands how social media works, right?
Yep.
I mean, Donnie Cates was straight up saying, and then when we were talking to Kevin Van Hook, Valiant used to do a killer job with tweeting out, hey, this character's going to die. This is going to be collector's issue.
Right. Or this character is coming up. Right.
Yeah. And another site that I use is the comic release site, because that tells me what variants are coming out for that day. And if I'm really savvy, I'll take that information and I'll go into, or you can use, what's that New York website? The one that NY Warriors are always showing, Midtown.
Yeah.
Go to Midtown to get an idea of what the ratio is, and then don't buy it from Midtown. Use Midtown as a high-end gauge, and then go on to eBay and look for that same variant, right? I mean, where do you look for your variants, Justin?
Well, I used to go on my thing is I used to go on Previews World, and I would see what books are coming out. Actually, even solicitations through like Newsarama or Bleeding Cool.
I think that was one of our questions, man. Hold on, man. Let me go into the community, and I think Otto was like, "Hey, we're going to talk about that," and then Otto totally forgot about it. I blame Otto.
I mean, we can talk about Midtown Comics. Midtown Comics is great, guys. So the best thing to do is on Wednesdays, if you want next week's books, right around 2 o'clock, 2:30, they drop their books for next week, and they're all good prices. I'll tell you right now, that Captain Marvel 8 that I talked about earlier, that was a 1 in 25. They had it originally up for $25, and they always have like a discount price. That book on Midtown's website was $16. I bought that. I got it. I flipped it for 60 real quick.
Is it still hot? Because I still have mine.
Yeah, it's like $100. But I mean, the fact that like they actually will price their books accordingly. They don't price their books based on market speculation.
But they'll sell out really fast.
Yes, they will.
They sell out super fast. So you got to be careful with that. Let me go into the comment section when I posted this on the Lords of the Long Box community page on YouTube. Let's see here. Esau Giran has a question, and he says, how do you decide what to keep for your personal collection and what to sell? What's the best place to sell comics? How do you know what to pick up when going to conventions? There's so many titles to remember. And I think that last part we probably just answered, like, some of the places, preview, solicitations, comicrelease.com, Bleeding Cool, Twitter, following social media. And so we'll leave that. Well, I think we kind of answered that, but why I asked all three to you guys this: how do you decide what to keep for your personal collection and what to sell?
I mean, I go artists. So, I mean, J. Scott Campbell, Adam Hughes, Art Germ, Warren Lowe, Matina, Delato. That's how I kind of keep those. And even like, more newer artists that don't do a lot. So Stephanie Hans is one that I love her stuff.
Natalie Sanders, another one.
Natalie Sanders does her stuff. I mean, Ji Hung Lee, who's another one that I had. In Hockley is another great cover artist. So those are the ones that I keep in my personal collection. Everyone else, that's what it is. With a lot of these, like we talked about earlier, these store exclusives. So someone like KRS puts out one, Unknown Frankie's. If you're looking for a specific artist, you're of course going to wait whenever that goes on sale and get it. Who's another top artist who's dropping covers every month that sell out? Shannon Mayer. unbelievable. His covers are amazing. They sell out. The Virgins sell out within 5 minutes, and then you're left with the trade dresses. Then you got to go on eBay and pay triple the price.
Yeah, I would say also if you have to choose between store variants on a hot book, go for the one that actually features the character on the cover. Because a lot of times they don't. You know what I mean? If it's going to be a first appearance, a lot of times they don't show the first appearance on the cover. But that's why that Agents of Atlas, I hate to go back to it, but that's why that new Agents of Atlas War Realms, that one that has waves exclusively on the cover is hotter than the rest of them because she's not on the cover on the main one or like covers A and B. She's not even on the cover at all. So I think that's another reason why they're hot. But let Otto answer this question, and he can say this in general, not just specifically about a variance. How do you decide what to keep in your personal collection and what to sell? Like if you're gearing up for Lord's auction, coming soon, by the way, what do you decide? What are you saying? Hey, this is something I want to keep from a personal collection, and this is something I want to sell. How do you decide? Let's say you're getting ready for a Lord's auction.
Well, I think Otto's muted, so
No, I'm right here, guys. I'm a hot mess right now. Okay,
He's just frozen.
No, I'll tell you what happens with me is if I've had the book long enough and then it's time to let it go, then I'll do that. I'll keep my variants based on how it fits my collection. Like right now, I'm going after that Ditko Spider-Man variant. If anybody has that, give me a holler. I'd like to pick that up. If it fits my collection, if it's a variant that I thought was really cool for a while, I'll move it. I just sold the ASM 800 Alex Ross, one of the red cover with the red goblin. I kept the other Alex Ross one. So it depends how my collection is at the time and if I've had it for long enough to display it, to show it off. And you know what? I've had it. I'll move on from it. But I like to keep books that really fit my collection of my favorite characters. So, that's why I'm going after the Ditko stuff, all the Ditko.
Yes. One of my best specs ever was one that I shared and I forgot to get for myself. And Darkside Jedi actually has it. Did you guys ever get them? The Alex Ross Tech 27 homage covers?
No, I did not get that. And I regret that. I
put it in our private group and I forgot to get them. And then Ryan got it and he got the graded ones and they were selling for like $1,500. So there you go, man. That's reading the tea leaves. So we're talking about the Tech 27. When we say Tech, by the way, for new followers,
Detective Comics.
And it's Tech. When you say Tech Tuesday on Instagram, that literally means you have to show a Detective Comics book. It doesn't mean show Batman.
Right.
Fuck off with that shit. I'm tired of you fucking people on Instagram doing this stupid ass shit. Okay, stop it. Anyway,
that's how you really feel about it.
Tuesday is for Detective fucking Comics, not fucking Batman. But anyway, that you should have read that knowing that, hey, there's going to be an homage cover. Alex Ross is a super hot artist, and these were exclusive to his store. So you knew that even going to be even more rare that you could only get them from the Alex Ross store. That book blew up because it's Tech 27. There's certain homages that one, right? The Neil Adams one that I got right over my back. You see it right there? That's another homage. The Silver Surfer run right next to it. Right there. That's Silver Surfer number 4, the homage right there. Those are homage covers that are hot. You know what I mean? So a lot of times when a variant does an homage that hasn't been done in a long time, you'd be amazed at how valuable it could be. So I mean, we're running up close to 7. So I think that's everything, man. So remember, 9/8. Make sure on a modern book, if you're going to get it graded, just make sure there are no imperfections. And for God's sake, press them. Would you have sex with a hooker without a rubber on? No. So just think of CDC as a hooker. All right. You want to send your books in protected. So you want to get them pressed out, especially older books. But you know what? It doesn't hurt to press newer books as well.
Yeah, might as well.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, just do it. What is it, $5, $10? I mean, most of us do it now, but it's amazing to me when somebody says, I didn't press and I sent it. Well, that's your fault. Then.
That's your own fault. There you go. There's your 9/6.
Fault. So, but on a modern book, if you pull it off the shelf, get there early, flip through all 50 of them, pick out, like Otto said, 2 or 3 of your best ones that they have, and then submit all 3 of them. You got to, hopefully a 1 in 3 chance of one of them come back a 9/8 if they're not too much. And that's something if you like, but like on a rare variant, I'm more apt to flip it raw, take my chances. You know what I mean? And something that's niche, I'll put it on Instagram. But here, be careful, guys. I sell books on Instagram, and I'm not tooting my own horn because I have 7,200 followers. I can get more people to buy stuff on Instagram. If you're going to raffle something on Instagram, make sure you have a large following. Or if you're going to sell something, make sure people know you. Don't put it for sale on Instagram and nobody knows you. and don't sell to somebody you don't know on Instagram, because guess what? If you do friends and family PayPal, they can pay you and then take the money back, or complain to PayPal and PayPal will refund the money, and then they got your comic too. So make sure it's a reputable seller. Feel free to message any one of us on Instagram, and I'll tell you if the guy's cool or not to buy from.
Correct, because there have been burns, and but you know what though? On Instagram, we police ourselves.
Yeah, people have been blown up on Instagram.
Yes, they have.
Yeah, people have been blown up on Instagram for posting like fake art and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I poor guy, I still feel sorry for him, man. When he posted the PGX stuff that and he said, "Hey, look, I got Tom McFarlane, Jim Lee, and Rob Liefeld." And they all came back and said, "I didn't sign that."
Yeah,
right.
Oh yeah.
This poor guy. All right, Peter Porker asks, "Okay, I got a question. I got a Silver Surfer Black 1 in 100 variant. Ooh, is it time to flip it raw or grade it? It's so nice. I'll flip it now. I don't think the Silver Surfer Black is going anywhere. I meant, what do you guys think? I don't even know what the price is on it, but I thought that was already, what's FOC?
Right.
First order
Silver
cutoff.
Surfer didn't really go anywhere,
I didn't know what FOC meant. I had to ask in the Lord Spec group. Somebody said first order cutoff. So first order cutoff, I noticed like
final order. It's final order.
Final order cutoff. Yeah. I get these emails all the time from Unknown Comics or Frankie's Comics. Basically, it's a cutoff to pre-order books. But be careful on these pre-orders, because I've gotten burned where it takes too long to get it. By the time they mail it to me, the book is cold. It's no longer. So, either you spec or you don't, right? If there's plenty of covers I keep that I like, Doctor Strange, Alex Ross variant, the 1 in 50 that I just got in
for what is that going to be for Marvel Tales, right?
No, that one coming up. But I'm talking about the other one that may have gone full circle and will get hot again. Is the Alex Ross? It's Doctor Strange and Scarlet Vision or Scarlet Witch on the cover. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, there's a red one. It's Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch is watching over him. It's a 1 in 50 Alex Ross variant.
No, that's Hughes.
That's Hughes.
That's Hughes. I have that in a 9.8.
Yeah,
the red cover.
That book is that a 9.8, Justin?
I do have that in a 9.8.
That one has gotten hot again because of the Wanda is going to be in the Doctor Strange film. Yeah. So that's one of those interesting things where it double spec, it comes back around. So I'm glad I have two. I was going to keep them. I was like, Doctor Strange, nobody really collects Doctor Strange like I do.
That's a great
I'm
book.
going to get this 1 in 50. There's also a 1 in 100. I think that is a black and white sketch variant for that one.
Right.
I could have sworn that was Alex Ross. I have it in my box.
No, it's Hughes. I remember I bought it
print.
cheap on somebody. I can't remember who.
Yeah, that's the red cover, right? With Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange. Yeah, that's
he was selling that print, which looked pretty nice.
1 in 100 variants are very, man. I would say once you get a hold of one, my watch list on eBay typically exceeds the amount I should have. Like, it tells me I can no longer add things to it because I'm necessarily not going to buy one, but I want to know where the market is. You should know relatively easy if you search something how much things are selling for, right? So that's why when I want to buy something, I'll look at that's it right there. Yeah, Adam Hughes. I'm my bad. Yeah, that book has gone hot again.
I posted that for Top Variant Tuesday last week because I heard it got hot again. So
it got hot again because Scarlet Witch is going to be with Doctor Strange. So that's just one of those things. Read the tea leaves. Got a movie coming. So unfortunately, the good thing about variants is I wouldn't say very rarely, but more seldom than not, they're not affected by movies. They're more affected by characters and art and homages, right? Yes. Would you agree on variants? They really have nothing. I mean, there's some that, tied to the movies, like what are those the variants that are signed by movie stars? That's an interesting one too, because those guys charge like $200 for a signature. I saw some Finn Jones freaking Iron Fist books selling for like $200. I'm like, give me a break.
Yeah,
that's weird. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one that's really super expensive is that the Francesco Mattina one. I think it's X-Force or X-Men, and it's got X-23 on the cover.
Here, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. You and Otto. Name the top 5 variant artists right now, or over the last, I would say, 5 years. Let's see who you got. Who do you put on top 5? You go first, Otto, or Justin, and then Otto can go because Otto is slow, so it takes some time to think.
I'd go Hughes, not in any order.
No, not in any order. Just things that people should look out for when they see these names.
All right. So Adam Hughes, J. Scott Campbell, Art Germ, Warren Lowe, and Shannon Mayer.
All right. What about you, Otto?
Yeah, I have to go Delato. I would definitely go somewhere. You got to throw some Mattina in there. And the guys that Justin just spoke about, you know what I mean? When I need variants, I go to Justin or Purdy 1869. That's what I talk about. That's where I get my information from.
So one name you guys didn't say was Adi Granov. Adi Granov does killer work. And you got to piggyback Adi Granov with Mark Brooks because they always sit
Mark
together.
Brooks, absolutely.
Mark Brooks will kill it. Basically, there are a lot of guys at the Comic Sketch Art website, which rip people off, but whatever.
Crane, like.
So I would say Alex Ross, Adi Granov, Mark Brooks, Todd McFarlane, and I would say Jim Lee too. But here's the thing, man. Artists that saturate the markets, their books get lesser in value. The prime example of that is Art Germ. When Art Germ was just sprinkling them out here and there, they were really, really valuable and collectible. Right. And you could tell they stood out because it was always just a face, right? He didn't do anything else. You knew an Art Germ when you saw it from 10 feet away. Right. The problem is he started doing regular covers for DC. So even when people thought they were variants, they weren't. They were actually the A cover or sometimes the B cover, which is just a 50-50 ratio.
Yeah. All the Catwoman covers that he recently did are just 50-50.
J. Scott Campbell was kind of the same way too. He started doing covers everywhere. J. Scott Campbell, I saw J. Scott Campbell did 3 covers today for 3 different companies. I saw one for Vampirella, one for X-Men. By the way, there's a new X-Men #1 book that's pretty hot that came out today. I picked that up. And the Marauders book, I picked up that variant too.
I got the Marauders today too.
Yeah. Clayton Crane, Ryan, Spiritor, Clayton Crane also doesn't do too many, but he does kick-ass variants. I remember Clayton Crane was killing it on the Cosmic Ghost Rider ones. Remember that? And the Null Venom stuff.
I think he did a couple of great Galactus covers too that I have, which are just out of this world.
So there's these guys. I mean, Warren Liu. We didn't bring up Tyler Kirkham, who also kills it. They're kind of exclusive to KRS Comics, and Unknown Comics is kind of exclusive for some guys. So you kind of see. I can tell you right now, Mark Brooks and Adam Hughes are exclusive to ComicSketchArt.com. I know that they're exclusive for that. And Alex Ross is so big, he has his own store.
Yeah.
The same with J. Scott Campbell.
Thing. I mean, and that's a conversation for another time. But J. Scott Campbell had his store for the longest time. He does his own exclusives. Art Germ just started. He's done 2 or 3, I think. And some of these other artists are now starting to do that. So,
yeah, that's the thing I worried about Art Germ. When it first came out, they were hot. And then I was like, man, there's way too many of them. They're starting to saturate the market. I think the smart guys, they just make every now and then they come out. And so, and they make them special to any specific group. But, once Alex Ross does the 1 in 50s. Alex Ross, I think, for a long time has kind of been exclusive. He's kind of been smart. The guys that are smart with this. J. Scott Campbell, Todd McFarlane. Remember Todd McFarlane, the one per store variant? Have we talked about 1 per store variants yet?
No, we could bring
the ones that are almost impossible to get, like the Jim Lee 1 in 1,000 or something crazy like that. Those are we're talking big boy variants. When you get if you can get a hold of a 1 per store variant, meaning that through Diamond Distributor or whomever, they will give 1 store 1 comic. And I would say right around Free Comic Book Day, there's some nice little goodies that you could find if sometimes they'll come out with a 1 per store variant. Those are you remember what was it, Todd McFarlane, the Venom cover, right? It was basically
they did a 1 in 1,000 and a 1 in 2,000.
It was a
cover swipe of.
It was a cover stripe of an inside panel he did of it, which is another amazing. And I think he did a Wolverine. So a lot of times you can kind of see where these are. So just remember, the higher the ratio, the better if you can get it. Remember, I mean, it's like anything else in comics. The more scarce it is, the more valuable it is. When we'll talk about print runs eventually too, but sometimes with mathematics, when we had Comicron in here, I think he just overloaded us with sales data.
Oh my God, it was unbelievable.
But I think once you understand, if you order, the more ordered a book is, the less valuable it is, right? Because there's higher print runs. When we start talking about print runs, that's why store variants are so sought out now, because typically let's say a popular book I don't have right now, but right now a top selling book is typically in the 100 to 150,000 range, right? For a book. Sometimes 300,000, 400,000 if it's brand new, like #1 or something like that. So if you have that regular cover that just sold 150,000 covers, if a store variant like Unknown Comics or KRS Comics has a variant that's only 1,500, if you can get one of those 1,500 as opposed to 200,000 sales, that's pretty good ratio, if you ask me. Did auto freeze on us again?
No.
He's probably just reading the comments like I am.
Yeah, I'm reading the comics. Yeah,
I read them inside YouTube, so I don't read them in the StreamYard.
You know what book is always would stand the test of time, which is always hard to find. It's one of those books I'd love to get. Is the Matina Lost Days, the Red Hood cover.
Yeah, my boy Jay, my man John Wynn always used to show that book, and he finally sold it.
Yeah, no, that's a
That
great.
one is one of those hot old variants that
That's like
Has it
back,
really
back then, I think ratio variance really wasn't a thing. I mean,
that
so
wasn't even a
stores
first
weren't even.
appearance.
I mean,
it was
there's
just
some
a Red Hood cover. Yeah,
I mean, there's some variants like the Uncanny X-Men. I think it's 509 or 510. J. Scott Campbell. That was a 1 in 10 variant. But at that time, X-Men really wasn't that hot, I would say,
Right.
or if it was dying off, who knows? But that's a very expensive book. Same thing with Amazing Spider-Man. Some of those, what is it? The New Ways to Die variants. Those are expensive.
well, like today is all the Mary Jane variants that came out.
Right.
And if you remember, that weird Mary Jane variant for the first appearance of Riri Williams is the variant to get, the Women of Power one.
Yes.
The first appearance of Riri Williams, the Women of Power variant, is actually the one to get because Riri Williams isn't on any of the covers. So for some reason, that one has been picked as the hot variant. Somebody say Donnie Cates. I thought he was just a writer. He is just a writer because we were talking about when guys talk about things. Like Mark Brooks tweeted about something and it was a first appearance. Donnie Cates does it a lot. Todd McFarlane does it a lot on their social media, and they'll tell you that a new storyline is coming, or they'll tease a brand new character, and that's smart because it boosts sales. Because look at us, we're all talking about it. We're all talking about first appearances. Hell, every Friday we post First Appearance Friday. So if you guys on Instagram need to go on Instagram because today is Wolverine Wednesday, I believe.
That's right.
And we're still doing Halloween comic covers. So remember, if you're gonna post on Instagram, hashtag and tag people. That's the only way you're gonna build up a good following in the community. I think we're pushing over 1 hour right now, so go check out our friends at the Comic Core. They're on right now, right after this show drops off, and go check 3 Men in the Basement. You guys are just with the Comic Core over the weekend, right?
Yes, we were. Yes, we were. We were in their booth. They let us use their booth for 2 live shows, one on Friday, one on Saturday. We want to thank them so much. They're great guys. It was a fun time. So definitely, like as soon as this show's over, head over to Comic Core. They got their Wednesday night show.
Yeah. So if you haven't checked out the 3 Men in the Basement as well, we interviewed Kevin Van Hook and we talked about all things Bloodshot and Kevin Van Hookie. And that's where we also found out that Bloodshot #1, that's you seeing sitting in front of Otto right there, is the first ever chromium cover created in the comic book industry.
You can get it on eBay real cheap right now. So when we talk about buying the 9/8 and stuff like that, I got it for way under $100. So
when you're specking books, what do we always say? We talked about it last week. Spec on the trailer, sell on the trailer. What just dropped? The Bloodshot trailer. What just dropped? The Star Wars trailer. So if you're sitting on any of those books and you think they're going to pop, you should sell them now, because between now and the time Bloodshot gets released, anticipation may have died down. And I don't want to say it because I don't know it, but if the movie bombs, the book may drop. A perfect example of that is Iron Fist. Iron Fist, right up to before the show started, boom, Marvel Premiere 15 was going out of the door like I was going out of style. After the Iron Fist series dropped, it dropped like an anchor. Not as bad as Luke Cage. I bought the first Luke Cage. Man, after that show, that book dropped big time. But because they're big Marvel comic book appearances, right? We're talking Bronze Age first appearances. It's still a great book to have. I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying it's the value that you apply to these and what you should spend. In a future episode, I'm going to tell you how to buy keys for your own collection without breaking your bank by using credit. It's a secret that I use, that, if you do it right, and you won't have to pay interest, but we'll talk about that some other time.
Right. No.
So in the next, probably in 2 weeks from now, we'll probably do another collector series. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the live chat. Congratulations to Al. Send me your email so I can send you out the first appearance of Scarlet Stains.
Stained glass scarlet.
Stains. Say it again.
Stained glass scarlet.
Justin, what did that vendor have that book for when we saw it?
Say that again. The one guy, he wanted like over $100 for 2.
Yeah, he had over $100.
Stained glass scarlet.
Yep.
Well, shout out to my man Manimal sitting on a bunch of them. So, and shout out to Man the Manimal for hooking us up with this. He sent me a copy, and I said, "Hey, man, give it away to one of the viewers." So, congratulations, Al. You could potentially be getting $100 comic book in the mail. So, any last words, Justin?
This upcoming Friday, 3 Men in the Basement, I'm doing a live unboxing for my CGC Baltimore on-site gradings, 9:00. Be there. It's gonna be fun.
All right.
I don't know the grades.
All right.
Otto, any last words?
Yes. I will. 3 Men in the Basement is going to be rocking. Justin's going to be holding that show on Friday. On Saturday, I'm going to be doing my CGC reveals of all the books. We don't know the grades. They're all here.
Better internet collection.
Yes, I'm going to hook this up. You guys, I want to apologize. And
He's on Wi-Fi right now.
Yeah, I'm on Wi-Fi. I've had some technical difficulties. I didn't have time to get the new part, but it will be all better. And I apologize. Thank you very much for watching 3 Men in the Basement at Lords of the Logbox. I'm going to work on this production here. My fault.
All right. Thanks for hanging out with guys. I know we ran a little bit late. We've got 113 viewers. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back next Wednesday. I may come out in between this weekend with a comic haul. I got about 100 comics I haven't shown you. I need to get these comic hauls coming out. So I put the link in the live video in the video description. Go check out our friends at the Comic Core. They are live right now and they got an important message. So go peep them out. I think that's it, boys and girls. So till next time, boys and girls, keep digging in them long boxes. Peace out.
Bust it. Shake and bake and pull it back.
Oh my God.